Hi everyone, this is Rob Yang and I want to talk about gluten-free products. Years ago, you didn't really see many gluten-free products out there. You had to search the health food stores and this little aisle with maybe a few products. And nowadays, you find gluten-free at even gas stations, at the local supermarkets, and it's really becoming what I think is a trend. And it's become a trend because the food companies have made it a trend. So remember those days of low carb and low fat days, and that was a trendy portion of the food industry or part of our food history that the food companies really jumped in and made it a trend. And unfortunately, they are making a trend now because there's so much money to make. It's $1 billion industry and they want to make some cash. So you're going to see some of the big conglomerates coming out with gluten-free products. And they're much better than they were years ago, whereas you get a gluten-free bread and it was like a brick in a plastic bag. You probably hit somebody over the head and knock them out. So it is a trend, unfortunately, but there are certain parts of the population with celiac disease that need to be on these gluten-free products if they're going to have some bread or some pasta, because a small size, let's say crouton, maybe the size of this, can set somebody off for months on end with digestive issues, with skin conditions, with any sort of nervous system condition. So they absolutely must be on these gluten-free products. Now, if you are somebody out there that just wants to try a gluten-free plan, you've heard about some of the benefits of it, or you are a practitioner implementing a gluten-free plan with clients, you want to use the gluten-free products as a transition food. Oftentimes, if someone's been eating gluten their whole entire life, cereal in the morning, then bread with sandwiches for lunch, and then they have pasta at dinner, if you just simply pull them off all the grains, oftentimes that's a really big pill to swallow. It's really a hard lifestyle change, and really what we're after is lifestyle changes over a lifetime. So the gluten-free products can be a transition food for them to come off the wheat products and start a gluten-free plan. Now, they're transition foods, they're still processed foods, and because they're processed foods, you have to be aware of a lot of the other products they put in these gluten-free products. So with the big conglomerates that are coming in, they're trying to get in the door with cheap products with different flours to try to mimic that sort of wheat texture and flavor. And some of the flours to be aware of is any of the bean flours. So you're going to find maybe fava bean, you're going to find garbanzo bean, chickpeas, the same thing as a garbanzo bean. Oftentimes those are very irritating to the gut. So oftentimes a client will get a gluten-free bread, they'll eat it, and then all of a sudden they just feel bloated, even more so maybe than a wheat bread. So you want to make sure that they're finding a product and be educated on the label and make sure that they don't have any bean flours in the actual gluten-free product. Another one to be aware of is soy flour. A lot of companies use soy flour because one, it's just dirt cheap and they can put it in there, and soy flour is very irritating to the intestinal tract, has a lot of anti-nutrients called phytic acid, protease inhibitors, and the other thing about soy is that the soy is very, very processed flour, and so oftentimes with soy, it's what we call molecular mimicry. So people react to the actual gliadin protein, which is the component of wheat, and then they eat soy flour and they react to the actual soy flour the same way because it just detects it as the same sort of flour. So be aware of that. Last thing is you'll find products with gluten-free label on it have tons of sugar in it, so they replace that. So again, these are just processed foods. So if you are trying to lose body fat and get leaner and you're following a gluten-free plan, but you're eating all these gluten-free breads and pastas, all these sorts of processed foods, they still are processed foods. So you still have to be wary of them. Eventually, you come off of those foods and you start eating whole foods, meats, your veggies, your fruits, some of your starches, like rice that are very unprocessed. So I hope that helps you with gluten-free products and how you can implement them in your lifestyle, or if you're a practitioner practicing nutrition. So hopefully you enjoy that, and until next time, remember, eat well to feel well.